Welcome to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Bonatti alongside Ethan Euchre and world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. Alfred Bonatti. Exciting show just waiting for you. Let's get right to it. So a professor who managed to live underwater for a record 100 days claimed he has actually de-aged 20 years as a result of that experiment. And joining us to discuss is Professor Joseph Ditori, a.k.a. Dr. Deep Sea from the University of South Florida. Thank you for joining us.
How are you? Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Now, you lived in a 100 square foot habitat about 30 feet below the ocean surface down in Key Largo for, what did they say, about 3 months? Can you kind of give us
100 days, yeah.
Can you tell us how the idea for this experiment came about?
Yeah. So it was December 24th of 2012. And I'm coming back from going over to James Cameron's house to work on his submersible that he took to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. When he went down there, he found a sea lice. Now, in Florida, the sea lice are kind of teeny and they just kind of bite you and they give you a little anaphylactic reaction. Well, one that he found at the bottom of the Mariana Trench was about this big, and that's about 11, 12 inches. Okay. So had them pull a DNA sample on it. When we pulled a DNA sample on it, it's a partial cure for Alzheimer's.
Oh,
wait, let me say that again a different way. A partial cure for Alzheimer's existed at the bottom of the Marianas Trench, and we knew nothing about it until he stumbled upon it. So I'm sitting in my office because the report is due to him on the 25th. Don't ask. I have no idea why it's due on Christmas. But I put my hands back in my head and I said, everything we need is on this planet. We have the yin, we have the yang, we have the dark, we have the light, we have the disease. We damn sure have the cure. We got to live in the ocean. And everybody's like, he's lost it. He's over the edge. So,
well, I remember reading years and years ago when, back in the 90s, probably, where there was a lot of news headlines going around about slash and burn down in the Amazon to make way for cattle and all of this stuff. And, not only the natural beauty of the Amazon do we want to preserve, but they call it the lungs of the earth and all of this. But a lot of scientists said, a tiny, tiny fraction of the Amazon has actually been looked at. And there's probably a cure for just about everything that ails us down in the Amazon. We need to protect it. I'm sure you feel the same way about the ocean.
Yeah, the origin of species, if we all came from coelacanth, which is what we currently think, and it's morphed and mutated several different times, if one of it mutated to have a disease, it makes sense the other is mutated to have the cure. And we have found several cures in the ocean. Acyclovir, a powerful antiviral. It's found in sponges, which are only underwater. Fish have these capped ions. These invertebrates, aquatic invertebrates have these bixwanos that enable us to withstand chemotherapy. So there's a lot of tell that's out there that says that everything we need is here. We just got to look. And, Elon Musk is great. He's like, we're going to Mars. I'm like, Elon, I have a whole bunch of questions. We got lots of stuff to do here first.
Mm-hmm. And how did you really pass that time? I mean, were you lonely, bored, determined?
So I have a PhD in biomedical engineering. So I did anywhere between 6 to 8 hours worth of science a day. Blood, urine, saliva, electrocardiograms, electroencephalograms, pulmonary function tests. I'm doing all these tests on myself. If you've never done an electroencephalogram and set your brain up with those leads, you've never lived. But that was 8 hours of my life I could never get back each day. And then I did about 3 hours worth of outreach a day, give or take. I taught biomedical engineering at the University of South Florida. I taught that online. And I lectured to 5,579 students about science, technology, engineering, and math and said, listen, we have real problems. We need your help solving it.
We've been kind of following you because we're based in Tampa, and I understand you have great connections with Tampa. I believe your girls were raised here, even though you're on the other coast now. What caught my attention was you were talking about, I guess, these results. You ended the experiment, I believe, last summer, but I'm just seeing headlines about telomeres. We've talked about that because we've covered it on the show many, many times. Explain what they are and what you found in your own body.
So telomeres, these are basically on the end of the chromosome. When you do that DNA to mesh into RNA replication thing, when you reproduce your cell, on the end of the chromosome are these little ticks. And each time you you use one of these ticks to basically replicate your cell. And when those ticks are gone, those are telomeres. When those ticks are gone, that is cellular senescence. That is the end of life, right? Now, is this the cure for aging? Absolutely not. You get hit by a bus tomorrow. It's not going to do anything about your cholesterol. It's not going to do anything about all of those other comorbidities. However, if you strictly look at how many times you can replicate that cell leads directly to living longer, that is 100% correlation. Now, my telomeres are 17% longer than they were when I went underwater, which is pretty profound. I mean, I'm a 50, well, now I'm 56-year-old male. And when I went in the water, my extrinsic age was 44. That's because I spelled Jim with a G and not with a J, right? And I take care of myself and I eat correctly and I live a balanced life and I try and reduce the stress. That's part of it. But then 10 years, I was reduced to the age of 34 extrinsically, right? So that basically says, listen, you're at the point now where, you were not quite 20 years younger, but a good significant amount younger. And basically, all things being equal, I will live longer. But guys, this is a known mechanism of action of hyper, meaning more than, baric, meaning pressure, hyperbaric medicine. And we've been using hyperbaric medicine for almost 400 years.
How so?
So in 1640, the first guy said, hey, I wonder if this increase in pressure will help my digestive problems. He was a researcher, and he basically put himself in his own hyperbaric chamber and treated himself for pressure. The flu of 1918, treated in a hyperbaric chamber very successfully. Leprosy, treated successfully in a hyperbaric chamber. We're talking diseases of yore, right? Like way long ago. We don't have those things anymore, right? We don't have leprosy anymore. I mean, I know it happens, but
Do you think that the pressure on the planet was different, several thousand years ago, and that now, because it has changed, it affects us in a different way and creates illness and ages us? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think stability in the pressure has been one of those things that we have. It's been since the beginning of recorded history, it's been about the same pressure. So, certainly for 400 or 500 years, it's been about the same pressure. So I don't think that that's an issue. I don't think that's what's accelerating it. As a matter of fact, as you see, people are living longer and longer, right? We are finding cures for diseases. We are out there living a better lifestyle. We have fresh water. We have good food. It's really not that hard. But now what we need to do is kind of sort of revert back to when we were trying harder to survive, and those sirtuin activating compounds that we could potentially extend life with those. It's really kind of a reverse thing now. I think it needs to be just a little harder. Let's agree that, look, man, the hardest thing that I have is that somebody didn't like my post or somebody, flips me off while I'm driving. That's not real stress. We used to get chased by saber-toothed tigers, right? Mm-hmm. And we'd have all these things that would activate that would make our lives last longer, right? Because we needed those things, but now we don't have that. So,
well, I guess it just goes to show, I think we all need to live underwater or in a hyperbaric oxygen tank or something like that.
We should just walk around with like space suits, pressurized, and talk to each other. Yeah.
I don't know, but it's amazing. So thank you for being on the program to share that with us.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Professor Joseph Ditori, a.k.a. Dr. Deep Sea. Thank you for being on the program.
Thanks for having me, guys.
We'll have more after the break. You are watching American Medicine Today.